Alright, this is my last Photoshop masking techniques tutorial. We reviewed 4 of the 6 great background masking techniques in Photoshop so far, and I'm going to go ahead and finish out with the last 2, the magnetic lasso and the quick selection. Now the assignment sheet in Google Classroom is not very detailed for these last 2 because you've already done 4. So for quick selection, we need to make sure that you have saved it in the right folder, and also for magnetic lasso you need to make sure that you've saved it in the right folder. So we'll go over that in just a moment. You can see here in Photoshop I've already gone ahead and saved it as my last name _ magnetic lasso. I've saved it in the correct folder in the Dropbox for the class, and I've made sure it's a Photoshop file. And so the first thing I need to do is define the magnetic lasso tool. Remember that if you just hover over each tool, it'll give you the name of it. And also if you hard press, there's usually multiple tools under there. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the magnetic lasso tool because this is the magnetic lasso assignment. And the way the magnetic lasso tool works is it's almost like a magnet that understands where the edges of the bee are. So I'm actually intentionally going off the side to show you that you can mess this up, but it's pretty hard. I can hit the delete button to go back one little spot at a time until I'm back to where I want to be. And then I don't even have to click. I just gently move my mouse around the edges of the bee until I'm done outlining the bee with the magic eraser, or the magnetic lasso tool. Ooh, I'm tired. It's 7 o'clock on a school night. I'm doing this for you. So I started it. The first one, I'm going to end it where I started it, and I get this, what we call the marching ants. So it's been selected. Let's pop back over to the directions. It says, surround the bee. Be careful when the lasso begins to wander. Click the backspace key to return it to the location you need. And then click on the object to anchor it and move on. Double click when you return to the beginning to complete the section. And now we just need to add a new layer, add color, do the drop shadow. So we're pretty much done already. So over here in the layers panel, I'm going to unlock the B layer. I'm going to choose new layer and say OK. Make sure that the B layer is still the top layer. I can now, if I hit delete, it'll delete the B. That's not what I want to do. I'm going to undo that. If I go up to select and choose inverse, now it's selected everything but the B. So if I hit delete now, ta-da, it's gone. Now I want to deselect, so I'm going to hit Control and the letter D so that I don't have those little marching ants anymore. Make sure I'm on the background layer, not the B layer, the background layer. You can see it's highlighted in gray. Grab my paint bucket tool, and I already have this sort of red color with the paint bucket tool. I'm going to paint the background layer red. Now I need to, in the B layer, go to Effects and choose Drop Shadow. And I got to pull the distance out so you can see my drop shadow a little better. And say OK. And now I can see that I need to clean this up a little bit. It's kind of ugly on the edges. So if I zoom in and I make sure I'm on the B layer, now I can use whatever tools I want. I can use the plain old eraser tool. I can use the polygonal lasso tool. So I'm going to go ahead and use the polygonal lasso tool to kind of get around the edges of the nose and connect where I started and hit delete. And I can kind of do that in here too. I want to clean up this little corner and go around the edges here and get into that little spot. Now I'm using the regular lasso, not the magnetic lasso now. And I'm just using it to select the area around that I want to delete. You can see how that cleaned it up. And then kind of over here by the B, there's a few little specks around the edges that I want to clean up. So just so I can get that little spot over there and this little chunk in the middle, I've just got there selected, and I'm going to hit delete there. And I'd say that looks a little better. Maybe right in here I need to clean up too. Alright, so that's pretty good. And Well, I'm just going to go ahead and go to File and whoop, I got to change over my tools. Whoop, okay. There we go. File and save. Say okay. I'm going to go ahead and close the magnetic lasso, and now I am ready to do the last one, the quick selection tool. And so let's go back to those directions. We just did magnetic lasso. Now we need to do quick selection. Make sure to save it as your last name in the technique. When finished, put them all in the Photoshop folder. And we're going to click and drag on the inside of the object with the quick selection tool. So here I am. Before you do anything else, make sure you save it as your last name _ quick selection in the correct folder. Go ahead and unlock this layer and add a new layer. Put your B on the top layer and make sure you're on the B layer. And now we can play with the tools. So we need to find the quick selection tool. It's not there. Not there. Oh, there it is, quick selection tool. So I have the quick selection tool, and there's all these, anytime you pick a tool, there's usually a few more settings at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and do the middle one. So that lets me pick whatever. Now I can adjust the size of my brush right here, and I like it at 13. If I went too big, it would select too many things. Like, I don't want it to select the bee and the background. That doesn't work for me. So I'm going to hit Edit, Step Backward, or Control Z to undo. Or you can just click one of these other tools and start fresh. So here I am starting fresh with my quick selection tool. I've got the middle, and I want to actually use a small enough brush where I'm not going to get the bee. So I'm just selecting around the bee. Ooh, I didn't want to get that included, so I'm going to go back over here and hit the minus to bring that part back into my B. So that's how that works. The minus says, ooh, undo this spot. The plus side says add this spot. Or you can just do one piece at a time. So I use the plus one, and then I use the minus one to put the little wing back on. So here we are. We've got the background selected. I'm going to hit delete, and I'm ready to get my paint bucket. Pick whatever color you want. I'm going to add purple. Control D to deselect so we don't have those little marching ants anymore. Make sure you're on the background layer before you paint. And now with your background layer selected and your paint bucket tool, you can give it a background color. Then we go to the B layer and we choose drop shadow. And there's my drop shadow. And I'm pretty much done. It's just time to zoom in and make sure that it looks good. So I might just grab a regular old eraser and kind of clean the edges. Let's just soften them. They're kind of jagged, and I can see I missed a spot there. Ooh, but I went in a little too far. That's better. Clean that little spot. Okay. And I'm just going to go to File and Save, and now we're done. I now have 6 different bumblebees. They are saved in the correct place. I'm going to go all the way to the top now. So I have my last name Magic Eraser, my last name Background Eraser, my last name Quick Mask, my last name Pen Tool, my last name Magnetic Lasso, and my last name Quick Selection. And it's really important that you do check that you have saved it in the right spot. So I'm going to go one more time to Shared, Student Shared, Dropbox, Web Design, Photoshop, and mine are in its own little spot. So I have Background Eraser, Magic Eraser, Quick Mask, Pen Tool, Magnetic Lasso, and Quick Selection. I have all 6 and a few more in my folder. If you don't put it in that folder, your teacher can't find it to grade it, so it doesn't count as being turned in. So make sure that all of your files are saved in there, and then open them to double check that they're done. So this one, Background Eraser, is just the bumblebee. That's not good. This one, Photoshop. Okay, there we go. It's cut out. It's got a background and a drop shadow, so I know that this one is done. All right.